Payday 2 at its base is a functional game for all things considered. Last time I bought a AAA game, aka Burnout Paradise Remastered, the game launched with a black screen. That was the last time I ever touched something that was made by EA. If you are meeting the game's minimum requirements, Payday 2 will launch, and some players play the game for hundreds of hours before they realize they want more frames. Crashes that are unanimous with Payday 2 is usually reckless modding blamed on the game. Diesel engine being a racing engine is an entirely false claim, and even the driving in this game isn't all that bad. That is just how cars handle, you silly little goose. They could have made it much more realistic and worse by not allowing turning at medium speed. That being said, the performance of the game isn't perfect considering how old it is. I will mainly use my friend Hagen's optimization Steam guide as a guide for this video. He's having a tough time over Ukraine cause of a never-ending, decades of shit show that can also be called a name as simple as a fucking war, so show him some love. His channel and his Steam guide is in the description. That being said, I want to cover a few more tricks that guide doesn't mention. This guide will have mods that don't affect the visuals and for the devices that are under the minimum requirements, so sit back, relax, grab some snacks or a cup of coffee, and let's begin. First things first, let's bust a myth. 4GB patch does jack shit. Believe it or not, Payday 2 already uses 4GB, so going out of your way to install this patch that does nothing is a waste of your precious time. Don't bother with this ever. If you don't want to touch modding but want some extra frames, try turning off Steam in-game overlay. You can turn off the in-game overlay by clicking off Steam, then Settings, then go for the in-game section and tick off Enable in-game overlay option. The overlay is usually not a big performance hit, however, it did improve my frames when I was forced to play the game like this, so it may or may not work for you. I also recommend anyone to just use medium textures and low shadow settings as well. The difference between medium textures and the higher ones are just barely noticeable, if at all. Even if you notice it, it is something likely minor, though realistically, you're not gonna notice it because of the breakneck pacing of the game. If you touch modding before for an info HUD, or something else if you're a rat, this following section will contain mods that don't touch the visual quality of the game, but gives you more frames. Keep in mind that just the fact that you are running mods will reduce your performance. I tested this by running just BLT and few script mobs with the game installed on an SSD and HDD. So, next few tips are there to improve your performance if you are already modding the game to your liking. By trial and error with two different laptops with different specs, I managed to isolate guaranteed value mods that will boost your performance significantly. First two mods, more or less, do the same thing. Seller and map-based optimizations. I recommend getting both since they do touch different maps. Diesel has the option to remove rendering for stuff that are behind a wall or something, similar to Source Engine. However, Overkill's usage for this is reserved for rare and extreme occasions such as hiding the day one of border crossing. These mods add "don't render what is behind me" barriers to wherever applicable. The reason why Overkill don't use it as much is because it does cause problems with the way outlines work. This is not a big issue, however. You don't need to always know where your jokers are all the time, especially considering the FPS boost. There are no logical reasons not to have these two mods. Crime Rate performance improvement helps with the stutter that is caused by pressing play online. Not a big issue, but worth keeping in mind. Similarly, Load Steam Inventory once is another small performance improvement. Its impact is even less noticeable than Crime Rate performance improvement. The last menu optimization mod, the Mod List Lite Master, is a different story. The usefulness of this specific mod will depend if you have the game installed on an SSD or an HDD. If the game is installed on an SSD, you don't really need this. If it is on HDD, it is essential to remove the awkward and long stutter when you click to view your mods. Also, I can hear you scream at your screen, "Where is the low violence?" Dead bodies, decals, and all the helmets that drop as a result of a messy gunfight aren't as performance intensive as you think it is. The most problematic part of the decals is the bullet decals. The game is highly inefficient at queuing these, and this is a vanilla game issue. If you want to improve this aspect of it, faster bullet impact queues is the mod you're looking for. I use low violence myself, mainly because of the gunfights are just too messy in this game, and I want a cleaner footage. I still keep helmet popping upon headshot though. Did you know that upon a headshot kill, the helmet of the cop will launch towards the player that killed the cop with a random offset? I love this game. As for mod overrides, flame performance is a nice pick if you are using fire-based weaponry at 2022. I don't personally use this since this isn't a big deal for me, but you do you. Another thing I recommend is Lemon Kit Macro Pack Smoke. This reduces the resolution of the smoke texture that cops use. As for optimization for the maps goes, Compressed House, Compressed Murky Humvee, and Optimized Model, San Martin optimization, Hell's Island optimization, and Black Cat optimized prop meshes are nice to have. And that's it for the optimization mods for capable PCs. Rest of the mods in this guide didn't do much for me, but I suggest checking them out if it happens to save you some frames. If these mods are not enough for you cause you're using a calculator to play the game, lucky for you, you can still play the game if you are desperate for some Payday 2 4-player action co-op shooter made by Starbreeze and Overkill Software. If you need further frames that will absolutely destroy the visual quality, this is where you start. Get the render config file that is in the guide. Press Windows key plus R and type %local app data % and press enter. Go for the Payday 2 directory. Replace the renderer file with the one you downloaded from the mod. This is the absolute lowest resolution the game is playable at the highest difficulty. While the guide mentions you to change your GPU name to avoid conflicts, that is unnecessary. Get low violence. Removal of the decals and bodies is now essential instead of preference. Block all effects. Removes every particle effect in the game. If you need assistance with stuff like Molotovs and Scaria Smoke Bomb, there are mods for that too. No post-processing. You have two options, Dr. Newbie's post-hook version and the regular one. Both work fine. No shadows. This is also a good boost to your frames. However, it has its own downside. You need day-night changes Reborn to fix the lighting issue. Change the lighting to ducks on Day-Night Reborn mod and tick this option, and performance comes first. This mod should be a desperation play. It tends to crash and kill himself, and it does alter quite a lot. However, it gives extra 10 frames on potato PCs, so it is nearly essential. Also remember to check the render setting file to disable dynamic lights if need be. Instructions on how to do that are in the Hagen's Steam guide. There are more mods listed in the guide that may help you with specifics, but I couldn't properly test their impact on the game. And do all of this with Steam overlay turned on for a nice, comfy 30 to 60 frames on most maps with your calculator. There are a few quality of life mods that you may consider getting if you are playing with these settings. Perfect View Model allows you to set your gun anywhere on the screen. Since 4:3 aspect ratio lowers your field of vision, the gun ends up taking half of your screen space. Another thing is the Super Probably Cops. This mod color codes the cops to make them more visible. This is super helpful on level resolution where things can blend together. Dying because you didn't see a gray heavy zeal on a gray background is frustrating. And that is it. Huge thanks to Hagen for letting me use his guide for this video. I know I took way too long to make this video, but I hope you can forgive me. The main reason why I finally decided to make this video is that Hagen's guide is forcibly removed by Steam moderators for a minuscule reason. This finally made me want to turn the guide into a video, in a platform where one guy can't just randomly decide to block information one may seek. In the event that guide disappears again, all the mods will be in the description instead of the guide. That being said, the guide is up again if you wish further assistance than this video provides, since I only really covered the ones that was making a significant impact on my end. Your end may differ. I told Hagen about this video's production and he gave me access to his Steam guide for maintaining for the future. So if you run into any trouble with the guide, let me know. This was all folks, see you soon and have a nice one.